There is a face that defines an era, a symbol that even decades after her death remains untouchable. Marilyn Monroe. But what happens when the icon becomes the victim? And what if the story we were told about her death was the greatest performance of her career?
Welcome to the Chronos Dossier. I present the case. You take on the role of the detective. Analyze the clues, study the suspects, and in the end, the only truth will be the one you can prove. Let us proceed to today's case.
The night of August 4th, 1962, fell thick over Brentwood, Los Angeles. The air was still, hot, foreshadowing the storm that was about to shake the world. On the quiet cul-de-sac, 12305 5th Helena Drive, a light remained on under the master bedroom door. Inside the Mexican-style ranch house, the only other presence was Eunice Murray, a 60-year-old woman, severe and practical, hired less as a housekeeper and more as a watchdog for the volatile star who lived there. Around 3 a.m. on August 5th, something in the stillness of the house disturbed her. The light under the door, the absolute silence. She knocked, no answer. She called, the silence persisted. The room was locked from the inside. Gripped by panic, Murray didn't call the police. Her first call was to Dr. Ralph Greenson, the star's psychiatrist. Greenson, a distinguished, middle-aged man with the professorial air of someone who held the darkest secrets of Hollywood's elite, arrived quickly. Unable to force the door, he ran outside and, using a fireplace poker, broke the glass of the bedroom window.
What he saw would paralyze Western culture. Marilyn Monroe, 36 years old, the most desired woman in the world, was dead. She was nude, face down on the champagne-colored sheets, her face buried in the pillow. One pale hand gripped the telephone receiver, as if in the middle of a call she never completed, or perhaps waiting for one that never came. On the nightstand, an army of empty pill bottles stood guard. Chloral Hydrate, Nembutal. When the LAPD finally arrived at nearly 4:30 a.m., the scene was already hopelessly contaminated. Coroner Thomas Noguchi, a young, meticulous professional who would later be known as the Coroner to the Stars, arrived to find a mystery that would define his career. The official cause of death was declared quickly: acute barbiturate poisoning. The classification? Probable suicide. But for such a seemingly simple case, the questions began to pile up like dirty snow. Why did the housekeeper wait so long to call the authorities? Why, as some initial reports suggested, was she found washing the star's sheets in the middle of the night? Why did the room seem strangely clean, almost staged? And the most disturbing question of all, raised by Dr. Noguchi himself, if she had swallowed more than 40 capsules, why was her stomach nearly empty, with none of the characteristic yellow residue of Nembutal? The Chronos Dossier opens here. Marilyn Monroe's death was not the end of a story. It was the beginning of a mystery involving the most powerful men in America, state secrets, and a small red diary that vanished like smoke.
To understand what happened that night, we must first understand the woman at the center of it all. In 1962, Marilyn Monroe wasn't just an actress. She was an asset and a liability. Her platinum blonde hair and vulnerable beauty were a facade for a sharp but devastatingly unstable woman. She had recently been fired from the film Something's Got to Give, a public humiliation. Her love affairs weren't just with movie stars or playwrights. They had reached the Oval Office. Marilyn, in 1962, was a woman on the edge, dangerous to herself and perhaps to others. The official narrative presents a simple scenario, but this dossier isn't satisfied with simple. It digs into the three currents that turned her death into a legend.
The first theory is the official version: suicide. This is the narrative of the inevitable tragedy. Marilyn was in tatters. Her career was in decline. Her love life was a desert, and her mental health was a house of cards. She was a longtime patient of Dr. Greenson, and her dependence on sleeping pills and antidepressants was notorious. Supporters of this theory point to her previous attempts, her desperate phone calls to friends in her final weeks, and an overwhelming feeling that she had been used and discarded by powerful men. The locked door, to them, wasn't a crime scene. It was a suicide note, a final barrier against a world she could no longer bear. That night, in a final act of despair, she deliberately ingested the fatal cocktail, ending the performance of her life. The motive is clear: unbearable pain. The flaw in this story? The crime scene itself. The lack of residue in her stomach and the absence of a glass of water make the act of swallowing dozens of pills physically questionable. The second theory is accidental overdose. This is the tragic fatality version. Marilyn didn't want to die. She just desperately wanted to sleep. She lived in a dangerous cycle, with multiple doctors prescribing conflicting medications. Dr. Greenson himself had given her a prescription. Her private physician, Dr. Hyman Engelberg, had as well. That night, confused by insomnia, perhaps already under the influence of alcohol or a previous dose, she simply lost count. She might have taken Nembutal, forgotten, and then taken chloral hydrate, a notoriously lethal combination. Her death wasn't an act of will, but a terrible mistake, a fatal confusion in a medicated fog. The motive is negligence. The flaw, again, is the autopsy. Even an accident would require the pills to be swallowed. Dr. Noguchi looked, but found none. And the clean scene? An accident doesn't explain why the housekeeper and the psychiatrist waited so long before alerting the police. And then we arrive at the third door, the one Hollywood and Washington have tried to keep closed for over 60 years. A cover-up. Murder. This theory turns the personal tragedy into a high-stakes political thriller. The protagonists here aren't depression or confusion. They are the most powerful men in the world. The first character in this drama is John F. Kennedy. the charismatic president with a smile that conquered nations. Multiple sources confirm the affair between him and Marilyn. The second, and more crucial, is his brother, Robert F. Kennedy, the Attorney General, more intense, pragmatic, and ruthless. When JFK tired of Marilyn, it was reportedly Bobby who was tasked with ending the relationship. But Marilyn was not a woman who accepted being discarded. She kept, according to many confidants, a little red diary. In it, she didn't just note bedroom secrets, but state secrets. Confessions she heard from the brothers about Cuba, about the mafia. The third character enters from the shadows. Sam Giancana, the Chicago mob boss, a man with cold eyes and absolute power, who, ironically, helped elect JFK, only to find himself hunted by the Attorney General, Robert Kennedy. Giancana and Marilyn also had a connection. The conspiracy scenario is this. Marilyn, feeling betrayed, threatened to call a press conference. She was going to expose everything. The red diary was her insurance policy. For the Kennedys, this was a political catastrophe. For the mafia, it was an opportunity. What happened on August 4th, according to this theory, wasn't suicide. It was silencing. Witnesses claim to have seen Robert Kennedy in Los Angeles that day, despite official denials. Some suggest that he, or agents acting on his behalf, confronted Marilyn. But how do you force an overdose? Here, Noguchi's autopsy becomes the key evidence for murder. The lack of pills in her stomach suggests another route of administration. The darkest theory points to a lethal injection, or, as some investigators have suggested, a barbiturate enema, a clinical, fast method that would leave no visible needle marks and would explain the empty stomach.
In this scenario, Eunice Murray, the housekeeper, and Dr. Greenson, the psychiatrist, aren't witnesses. They are coerced accomplices or active participants in the cover-up. The hours-long wait before calling the police? That was the time needed to clean the scene, remove the red diary, and ensure the official suicide story was aligned. Marilyn's phone records from that night, which could have shown calls to the Kennedys, mysteriously vanished from the phone company's files. Decades have passed. The protagonists of this drama are all dead. John F. Kennedy, assassinated. Robert F. Kennedy, assassinated. Sam Giancana, assassinated. Only Marilyn's mystery remains.
The Chronos Dossier is complete, but the case remains glacially open. What really happened in that Brentwood home? Was it the trembling hand of a broken woman seeking an end to her pain? Was it the confusion of a fogged mind lost in a cocktail of pills? Or was it the cold hand of power cleaning up a loose end, silencing the one witness who could bring down an empire? The diary is gone. The phone records vanished. The truth was washed away, along with the sheets from that night. All that's left are questions. And now, this dossier is yours. Analyze the clues, Examine the alibis and the conflicting autopsy. The official answer was given. But the truth, that perhaps is waiting in the comments. And here, the file ends. The clues have been presented, the motives are on the table, and the alibis are fragile. Now, the work is yours. Who is the culprit, and how did they do it? Leave your complete theory in the comments. The Chronos Dossier community is waiting to analyze your verdict. Until the next case.